Welcome back to the lab. Daniel Ripa is here. He's the coordinator of Free Geek Vancouver, something you started in your own apartment.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Good to have you. Welcome. Tell me what Free Geek is.
Well, Free Geek is a nonprofit community technology center where we recycle computers, but we always must remember that reuse is a part of recycling. So
a big part, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. The best part.
In fact, it's really frustrating because these computers may be 10 years old, but they work perfectly. They just don't work with modern software and operating systems. So people say, well, I got to get rid of it. And it's kind of a shame to throw it out.
Absolutely.
If the thing still works. So people can donate hardware to you?
Yep.
That's
absolutely.
great. I wish we had more of these. We just recently learned that a lot of what we thought was being recycled, I don't know if it's true in Canada, but in the States, is really being sent to places like Africa where they have terrible protections and kids and stuff are exposed to horrible toxic chemicals.
Absolutely.
These things are bad news.
They are.
And you want to bring them somewhere like Free Geek where they're going to reliably and responsibly recycle
Absolutely.
these. It's very important.
That's what we do.
So most of the time, are you able to get stuff working again?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, we do get a lot of equipment that is end of life, is what we call it. It's not going to work under any circumstance.
How do you find that out? Do you test it? How do you know whether it's going to work or not?
Yeah, absolutely. After our volunteers do the sort of just a visual inspection.
Yeah, like there's a big hole shot.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Or it's sat in a river for a year.
Right.
Then we take each component and test it separately.
Right.
And there's two main things I'd like to show you.
Sure.
First of all,
these are your testing programs that you use?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And this is running on. Oh, look! This is the place. Look at this. All right. So you have like a test bench.
Yes. What you see right there is our drive wiping station, and we do that for data security reasons.
Very important.
But we also wrap in smart testing.
Okay, so you're testing the hard drive itself.
Yep, exactly. And then bad blocks, which is a Linux program that writes to every single block and reads it back in different patterns. So we know that when the drives are going back out, that they're good.
They're usable.
They're not end of life.
Will bad blocks map out the bad blocks, so it tests it, but then will it eliminate that bad block, or do you have to throw the drive out?
Any bad block error we toss or we recycle because we see so many drives. Yeah, we can high grade to the best.
Right.
In this picture, we can see a hot swap tray loaded with a drive.
So you just pop it in?
Yep. You can see all the trays on the top there. We do 2 per station for each channel. And
how long does that take?
40 gig drive will take about 4 hours.
Okay, so that's why you need these multiple drive stations, because
parallel tasking.
Yeah.
And that's running our custom Linux script there that was made in-house, so the volunteers can interact with it. It tells them top drive no good, bottom drive good, put a green sticker on it, that kind of thing.
Really important to wipe those drives, and we often talk to people about wiping your drive before you donate a PC or sell it.
Absolutely.
But it's great to know that people like Free Geek, responsible recyclers, take that seriously, and they will wipe it too.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But it's always best to do it yourself.
Do it yourself, just in case.
You don't give your credit card to somebody to chop it up, right?
Right.
So we also do RAM testing, which we have another photo here of our RAM testing board.
This isn't in your apartment anymore, I hope.
No. We got a bigger building now. What you can see there is all net booted, so there's no hard drives on those, no floppies. They're all different motherboards from different eras to test RAM bus, DDR, DDR2.
Oh, so those motherboards are permanent, and then you look for a motherboard that will match the RAM that you've got, and you pop it into that motherboard.
Yeah, and you can see below there's like a RAM bench and buckets of RAM, and so our volunteers plug all the RAM in. They net boot MemTest. I don't know if you're familiar with MemTest, and you can see it running on the right-hand screen by the window over there. KVM's hooked up to the 6 motherboards, and we just cycle through it as the tests complete.
So is Free Geek self-supporting at this point? I mean, are you able to support yourself with the materials that you get, or do you need donations to keep it going?
We could always use financial assistance.
Yeah.
However, I'm very proud to say that we do cover our own costs through recovery of recycling and through our thrift store where we sell old components.
Old but working.
Yeah, we also sell good stuff too. We have some year-old laptops sometimes and stuff like that. Yeah.
So now, what is this program running here?
This is just a close-up of MemTest at the shop.
Is that a Linux program?
Yep. It's an open source program, and it's actually failed a gig of RAM there. So what would be like, wow, a gig of RAM, it is no good. This is after 3 hours of testing. So
it might take that long.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And so we don't want to pass this on to somebody else, this problem, and then they have to chase a small memory error.
And that's the thing. Little errors like that that may not show up right away. The system may seem to work, but have odd failures. So this is really valuable to get that kind of, when you're getting equipment from Free Geek, obviously you're getting equipment that is more thoroughly tested sometimes than commercial brand new gear. I mean, they don't do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's great about using Linux for all this is the being able to customize it.
Right.
To say, you know what, we needed to do this, you know, and so it does that, and it's great having a programmer in-house to do all that. And then hanging everything off of LTSP, which is a Linux terminal server project.
Okay.
Basically, you have one big server, very powerful, running a whole bunch of clients like I brought in today.
So this is interesting. This is an old Dell Optiplex. Now, you weren't able to turn this into a working computer again, really.
It could, but it would be slow by itself.
Yeah. Even with Linux on it, it's just not going to be a great machine.
It's a P3500.
Okay.
And it's seen better days, I think. It's in fact completely gutted. It's just a motherboard and power supply now.
So you use it really as a terminal, though, because you have the central server running LTSP.
That's correct.
And it can still work just fine as a terminal.
Yep. And beyond that, we can boot our test equipment, too. You saw the motherboards up there, the drive wiping. So it makes admitting all that very easy. If something dies, you just throw something else in its place. You don't need to reinstall an operating system.
I think.
It is.
Sounds like so much fun.
The only thing I didn't show you today was our monitor testing station, and it's an old busted laptop with no screen, no keyboard. It's just a signal out.
And you just plug it in?
Plug it in. It boots off the network, shows our color pattern, which I'm sure all you guys are familiar with, and we test our monitors that way.
Now, this is a really old, this is a P2400 HP laptop.
P2400, yes.
That is ancient, with just 256 megs of RAM.
Yep.
And yet you're running, it looks like you're running an operating system on there.
Yep. This is Xubuntu, or Xubuntu as some people call it.
I never know how to call it either.
Linux, Debian,
we'll call it Xubuntu.
It's Xubuntu for today. It is basically based on the Ubuntu operating system.
But it's for lower end systems.
Yeah, they've done away with the GNOME desktop, and they're using XFCE.
XFCE,
I don't know.
Which is a lightweight desktop that doesn't require as much RAM, as much horsepower.
96 megs is its minimum requirement.
So it can run on a very low and slow machine. And this is now very usable.
Yep, absolutely. And
something that you really couldn't run Windows on unless you're running Windows 95.
And then you're into driver issues. This is all recent. I mean, we've got Firefox up here.
To date, no security issues.
No viruses.
Reliable.
We've got photo editing on here. All sorts of things. It is very good. And the LTSP you could do at home too.
Are people starting Free Geeks around the rest of the country? I mean, you're a great model for how to do this, I think.
There's 7 in North America. We're the first official one in Canada. I've heard rumblings from Montreal, Toronto.
Should be everywhere. Should be everywhere in the world.
I think so too, yeah.
What a great, I mean, there's so much, you don't even want to know how much of this toxic stuff is in the landfills. This is the way to deal with it.
It is.
Make them usable if you can, recycle them responsibly if you can. FreeGeekVancouver.org. David Repa, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
It's really neat. We got more information on all these tools and how you can use them yourself at home in many ways. In many cases, you can do the same thing yourself to keep your old system running. It's all online at labwithleo.com. Thanks a lot.